To gain some perspective and get some answers, we're joined now from Newsmax New York by Doug G-Man Anderton of the program that appears on Access TV, Discovering Lucy Angel. G-Man, it's good to have you here on America's Forum.
Thank you, JD. Good to be here, and a happy Tuesday from New York City.
Well, it's great to have you, and we hope this will be a happy new year. We hope to see a decrease in police fatalities, but why do you think we saw that increase between 2013 and 2014?
Well, obviously, I'm not running for re-election or a politician, and I'm not as bright as most of the rest of the guys in the room, but I really think that's an aberration from the statistics that I've seen over the past 5 decades. There's actually been a decrease over 5 decades, from 100 and some in the 60s and 70s down to as low as 30, and then there's been a recent uptick up to 50. So even though it's lamentable, and obviously any citizen's death, an officer of the law and a private citizen as well, is something that's a tragedy, but at the same time, in honest journalism, the number and the trend is really down over 5 decades. So I think this is a little aberration.
But Doug, so is crime. Crime is supposed to be going down as well. So why do you think we're seeing this recent increase? So, and what can we do to better protect law enforcement?
Well, I think there's a number of factors, and certainly, I'm from Idaho, so I come from a law enforcement, law-abiding community. My dad was a member of the sheriff's posse, and things back in those days, even though we like to watch the television series of Andy Griffith and Andy of Mayberry, and things were a certain way with Don Knotts, who never had a bullet in his gun as he walked around town. I remember Sheriff Paul Bright coming to our house to visit us, I guess because he liked my dad, and my dad was a member of the posse, but things were different then. There was a mutual respect between the citizenry and the officers of the law. So and I think that has changed for a lot of reasons.
And go ahead, I interrupted you. What are those reasons? Why do you think that's changed?
Well, when I see a picture of police forces today, I don't know whether I'm looking at a Navy SEAL team or a police officer. They have become very militarized. I mean, it seems like and maybe that's to protect themselves, but from the 60s on, all of a sudden we have 80 to 100,000 SWAT team raids on citizens' homes, doing things that used to be handled by peace officers.
Well, so and this is the important thing, G-Man. You're talking about peace officers and those who are involved in law enforcement. You join us from Newsmax New York today. Obviously, New York City has been embroiled in its own controversy. While you lament the growing militarization of so many police forces around the country, you had Mayor Bill de Blasio there in New York. Some said he was basically fanning the flames against the police, and then you had that horrible assassination of 2 cops a couple of weeks ago in their recent funerals. Rather than militarization, are we seeing the police now politicized to an unfair degree?
Yeah, I don't know specifically what you mean by politicized, but I think there is growing apprehension between the average citizen, Joe citizen, and the police force. And rather than respecting and loving and looking forward to seeing your local police officer, I think there is a fear factor. I think citizens are estranged from the police in some fashion, and that's lamentable. And of course, we heard about the tragedy of the 2 officers that were slain, and it just sickens us to watch that kind of thing happen. But by the same token, on the other side, we also see an uptick in citizens who are being, I think, wrongfully aggressed against by policemen.
But is it right to go out and, when you see video of protesters chanting, "Kill the police," what's the first thought that comes to your mind? Is that going to solve anything?
No. I think the first, I saw someone on a Facebook page that posted and said, like this, if you agree that police officers matter, of course police officers matter. We respect all police and authority, but at the same time, mundane citizens' lives matter as well. And I think, you know, you see, if you look, both sides of the equation with citizens who are having their rights trammeled as well.
Always it is about striking a balance. Not only Black Lives Matter or Cops Lives Matter, but all lives matter. And Doug Anderton, G-Man, it's great to have you checking in today from Newsmax New York. You may call Idaho home, but we appreciate the time you spent out in Arizona when I was serving in the Congress, and it's been so good to have you. We hope you'll come back and visit with us again real soon.
Thank you, JD, and hope you'll tune in to the Access Television premiere next week of Discovering Lucy Angel. You'll see 3 more of your constituents, my wife and 2 daughters, on the show, and enjoy the show. Thank you.
And we're going to be watching for it. G-Man, thanks for your time, and America's Forum continues following this Newsmax Now update.